All right, everybody. This is a 2010 Audi S4. Now, I'll give you guys a short story. What ended up happening is this client called me because he had a traction light that would come on as soon as he would turn on the vehicle. It didn't matter if it was just key on, engine off, or started. The traction control light would come on automatically for the sports differential. So, going through the system real quick, I had a code that was for a checksum. So, obviously, I did my preliminary checks, and I checked my voltages, my grounds, and my can lines all the way up to the control module, which lives where the spare tire is. Now, after checking all that, power and grounds were there, and so were my communication lines. So, obviously, would have checked some error code. I think somebody was playing into it and they didn't code it properly, and it ended up messing up the module. So, I got a use module to come in. Now, got to use module in. Tried to perform basic settings. Basic settings didn't want to work. Did a little bit of research and found out that after doing basic settings, I got to reprogram the whole module. So I had to get access to Otis, which took a little bit of time. But eventually I did get access to Otis, and I was able to take and program the module and have everything coded. And now the module is working great. I don't have any checksum codes or anything. But the code I do have in the system, which I'll actually bring up to you for you guys. As I said, I'm testing out the D8 on all the vehicles that I'm doing right now, so we're gonna see how well it performs. And so far, I'm very impressed with the X-Tool D8. It's actually a very, very good scan tool. And I use it on a professional level. It's not just for a DIY tool. So, you know, $1,000 DIY tool for me doesn't really make any sense. If you want a DIY tool, there are other how can I put it, scanners out there that you can use for DIY that are actually very inexpensive. So personally, if you're paying $1,000 for a scan tool, it's not for a DIY. Not everybody has $1,000 to spend for a DIY tool, but this does do what it says it's supposed to do. All right. Honestly, if I would have did a little bit more research, I probably would have went more for the D9 because of the coding capabilities of it for the European models. But besides that, it's a great tool. Okay. It pretty much has all the same functionalities as my 908. So I'm not like displeased with this tool whatsoever. Okay. So we're going to go back. We're going to read the trouble codes. As you can see, there's no fault codes selected. So what I'm going to do right now, okay, is just start the vehicle. And as soon as I start it, we're going to see that there is going to be a light that's going to come on. All right. Now, when I read the trouble code, all right, we have oil pressure temperature sensor 2, oil pressure implausible signal. Okay. Now, what's interesting about that is because in the back on this vehicle right now, all I have hooked up is my test light. I'm going to show you everybody that. And I am getting the exact same code with my test light hooked up as I was getting with all the original connectors hooked up to the vehicle. Now, the first thing I did onto this one was that I came in and I read the codes, and this is the code that came up. So I came back and I went to, sorry, give me a minute. I went to my live data. All right. We're going to go to the default data flow. And what we're going to be looking at is everything that has to do with the oil pressures. All right. So we're going to go to custom on this. Now, as you can see, my temperature sensors are working fine. So that code has nothing to do with the temperature sensors. If I was reading -40 or if I was reading like plus 200 degrees Fahrenheit and the vehicle was just started and not moving, I would be concerned about the temperature sensor or the temperature sensor circuit at that point. But as you can see, they're about 50 degrees Celsius. That's roughly what it is out right now. All right. So as I said, I'm not too worried about that. Now, what got me was the PSI. So I'm going to take and turn the vehicle off real quick. Okay. We're going to turn the ignition back on. And we're going to select the same ones. Now, a little update that X-Tool could do on this one, which I'm going to actually suggest it to them, is try and take and save your custom list that you pick, so that each time that you go in, you don't have to reselect it. All right. That would be a fantastic addition for this tool. And also put the voltage up here somewhere in the corner so we can actually see what the voltage is of the vehicle's battery instead of having it underneath the dash. As you can see on this one, the dongle's underneath, but we can't see the voltage, so it doesn't really help us. All right. It was a great idea, but it's not really practical. So from there, what we're going to do is go to custom. All right. So as we can see, we got 53.6, 50, and we also have oil pressure, pressure 1 and pressure 2. So what I'm going to do is just start the vehicle, and we're going to take and watch those. I might have to erase the codes. No. So as we can see, my pressure does change. All right. But then it drops automatically. Now, I was like, okay, I'm seeing a pressure change. So that means my pressure sensors are working properly. Now, so why is it that it is not keeping the pressure up to where it's supposed to be? So this is where I went underneath the vehicle. I jacked it up. So what we're going to do is come back, turn the vehicle back off, and press OK. So if we come back over to actuation test now, all right, as you can see, we got actually quite a few actuation tests. But if you know Audi, you're going to have, actually, if you know Audi and their sports differential system on these years, what you're going to have is you're going to have two all-wheel drive clutch valves, which is this one and this one. So what that means is that I can actually go underneath the vehicle, actuate 1 and 2, and see if I hear any clicking happening. All right. If I don't hear a click out of one of them, that means that one of them is either has an electrical issue or it is stuck. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is I'm going to bring everybody underneath the vehicle, and we're going to go look at this real quick. All right, so here's my little setup. Okay, as you can tell, I got my test light hooked up over here, so don't worry too much about that. The reason I use a test light is because for some reason, with the bulbs that I have, they were drawing too much current and was getting a different code. So we're going to go with the test light on this one. And so let's go underneath, and I'm just going to take and I'm going to replug the sensor. Okay, I might have to cycle the key again after this, so just give me a minute. All right, so I just have it hooked up like this. All right, I'm just gonna take and unplug, and I can hear the dash is not liking that, or the module is not liking that. Okay, so we're gonna take and we're gonna plug that one in like that, and now I gotta go recycle the key real quick, everyone. Okay, bring you guys along. We're gonna count to 5. Okay. Oh. There we go. All right. So now we're going to go back underneath. Okay. I'm going to bring the scan tool over here. And I'm going to try to get you guys up close. I'm just going to take and I'm going to go on to all-wheel clutch valve number 1. All right. I'm going to press OK. From there, it's going to come into this area. All right, so I'm gonna put you guys up as I press the start. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I hope so. All right, so I hear that clutch valve working. Okay, so but is it working to 100%? I have no idea. Now what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna exit this one. Okay, and we're gonna go on to clutch valve number 2. All right, I'm gonna bring you guys up. Clutch valve number 2 is this one right here. I'll put you guys close. As you can tell, there's nothing happening. All right, I'm trying to start it, stop it, and it's just not clicking. Okay, so from there, I was like, okay, either I have an electrical issue with the valve. Now, the thing with these, with Audi, all right, is that if you unplug a sensor, it's a monitored circuit. Or any type of actuator, it's going to be a monitored circuit. So as soon as you unplug it, it codes. All right. So what you have to do is try find a substituted load in order to that has the same resistance value as this, in order for it to be not code when the sensor is unplugged and you plug in that load. Now, with that being said, the only thing I have is my test light, so that's what I used. So now I'm going to replug up my test light onto the connector, And we're going to do this exact same test, and we're going to test the electrical integrity of the circuit from the control module to see if my test light lights. All right, so I have everything plugged up again now. I already recycled the key once. I did that off camera. I got the X-Tool D8 over here, and I got my test light very, very close. All right, so what we're going to do now is basically just check the electrical integrity of the circuit. If it can light up my test light, there should be enough current to actuate that valve. So don't forget that valve is going to be PWM controlled in order to increase and decrease pressure. I believe that that's the way that these ones work. Don't take my word for it, but I believe that's the way they work, okay? So, very simple. I'm on number 2. We're going to start. As you can tell, it lights up my test light, no problem. All right, so start. If I leave it on, it's going to turn off by itself. Active, active, active. All right, so what does that mean? Electrical integrity of my circuit is good. My valve, the code that I'm getting is being set because my valve is not able to actuate. All right, if it's not able to actuate, that means that it cannot control the oil pressure, and if it can't control the oil pressure, it's just going to turn it off and say, no, we're not doing anything. So pressure sensor, temperature sensor seems to be working properly. As you can tell, it does read pressure and it does read the temperature, but the valve itself that controls the oil pressure is not working properly. So when you're dealing with these sensors, be very, very careful. All right, don't go throw a sensor in. These sensors are not cheap. I think they're like $300 just for the one pressure sensor. So you're at $600 for pressure sensors on that. So now what I have to do is try remove these rusted out bolts without breaking them into the differential. But I want to call the client first before I do that, because I really don't want to have to tell them, oh no, I was trying to take it out and it broke. So gonna contact the client, let him know what's going on with this, see if he wants to continue with this for now. As I said, the vehicle came to me with check some error codes first. I got a used module. I put a used module in. It's not the easiest thing to do, but it is doable on Audi vehicles. Well, on the older ones. On the newer ones, I have no idea. On the older ones, you can put a used module in and code it and have it work. But we're gonna have, just make sure that you have, but in order to do that, just make sure you have all the exact same part numbers on that module. All right. And from there, well, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a quick one. I haven't been posting very much lately. I am extremely busy. I do have a longer video that's going to be coming out onto a Mazda. There was multiple problems with that car, and I had it took me a couple of hours to get everything fixed. So yeah, and then after that, I believe I have some programming videos that I also have done, but I just don't have time to edit right now. So I will try to get you guys those videos out as soon as I can. And for the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you guys next time.